What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you guys live today from Delray Beach, Florida. I'm at Scott Woolley Studios. We got a special treat for you all today. She's sitting in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, a city that's so near and dear to my heart. Just love it. She's the founder and CEO of Formula Inc. It's a global consulting firm. She counsels leaders, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. She specializes in performance and getting to the heart of these type things, not just strategy, but by individual performance. I want you to help me welcome Maria Matarelli. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so grateful that you were able to hop on today. This was sort of like a last minute thing. And you're a very special lady. And what I love to do, Maria, is I love to like spin the clock back. You weren't always this powerful woman that runs organizations and has written books and runs masterminds and counsels, serious business guys. Where you come from? Where'd you grow up? Tell us about early life, all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I actually grew up a couple hours south of Chicago, and I started working when I was 15. I worked 3 jobs to pay my way through college because that was the only way I was able to go. Then moved downtown Chicago, started working for a consulting company and consulting them on Agile project management, process efficiencies. From there, I started speaking at conferences, traveling all around the world, and eventually built my own company, international consulting company, Formula Inc.
Great name, by the way.
Thank you.
And I love the way you incorporate the word agile because, especially with the pace of today, the technology that's coming down, AI, et cetera, and of course I've seen, the birth of, cellular technology, the internet. There was no Google when I was growing up. There was no internet. There were no computers. So you have to be agile. You have to pivot, right?
That's it.
That's like the new word for me, pivot. But, doing some homework on you, agility. So you grew up south of Chicago and
Yeah.
you broke into the business world in downtown. That's a real city, Chicago.
That is a real city. That's correct.
I've gotten into a lot of trouble in Chicago over the years.
I bet.
It's a great town, and the Chicago Bears, funny enough, they had a great season. I have a very close friend, a young friend who's from that area. We had a great time this year, rooting for the Bears and all that.
Yeah, they did good.
How'd you get to Las Vegas? You're an Illinois girl.
Okay, so this is a story. So I think it's around 2013. I actually got rid of my place in Chicago, started traveling the world with one-way tickets. I didn't get another place. I put my stuff in storage and speaking at conferences, leading training classes. And then I ended up landing in St. Pete, Florida for about 5 years. I then went to a 10-day retreat in Bali and ended up staying 2 years. Just got back to the States within the last year and landed in Florida briefly, came to visit friends in Las Vegas, and it just felt right, so I stayed.
Wow.
Yep.
You are a fly by the seat of my pants type of gal.
You just follow the opportunity, Ross,
Not everybody has that kind of courage.
Right.
A lot of people get sort of caught up. They never leave their hometown.
Right.
Some of them don't even get to the big city. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of world out there.
Right. Maybe they come for a week or two on a holiday.
Sure.
I chase my dreams wherever they may be. As I get a little older, I hope they're more local.
Right.
To be honest, you look for convenience, but when you're young, it's like, let's go, right? Let's just go. I never bought a one-way ticket to anywhere though.
Oh, really?
And I'm a player, correct. And I feel diminished right now in front of you.
Oh, no. I don't know if it's smart or crazy. I think I did one-way tickets for almost 5 years. I definitely was on a mission, wanting to make an impact, wanting to add value, wanting to do something meaningful in the world. And it was like this intrinsic motivation that I've had trouble quite being able to describe.
it, I don't think that what you just that shared with us is going to come up on any event. Googling you and studying you, and I mean, you went to Bali for a 10-day sort of mastermind or retreat, and you stayed
Yep.
2 years,
It's paradise. It's everything you think it is and more.
and you recommend Bali for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's so crazy. I was at the Aspire tour literally last week, and I ran into this lovely girl, Dr. Marcia Evans. She's got the dreads, African American doctor, very brilliant, very smart. And she goes and runs retreats in Bali, 10-day retreats. I can't believe
Yeah.
what you just said to me.
Ah.
And then, we all went out for drinks at the hotel, which was attached to the convention center. And one of the girls that was with us said, I don't like Bali. It sucks. And then they got into a whole thing, just sharing it. So tell us about Bali. 10
Oh,
days
man.
turns into 2 years. This story.
10 days to 2 years. So my friends were hosting a retreat. It was called Metamorphosis. And it was all around, just finding your center, getting away from the busyness of the world. There was like a 3-day juice cleanse in the middle. We went to the water temple. There was a day of silence, a lot of introspection, reflection, just personal development, and just taking that moment that many of us rarely do to actually pause and reflect in life. Are we showing up the way we want to show up? Are we having the results that we want to create? And are we really, truly happy and fulfilled in the meaningful experiences that we have every day?
I mean, that's just, I have to, you can't go on a 10-day retreat and stay 2 years if you're married or you have kids or you're, engaged, right? So
Sure, that makes sense.
you were single. Is that
Yes,
fair to
correct.
say?
Yes.
And is it a personal thing? Are you together? Have you gotten married? Or you're still sort of out there a little bit?
Nope, never married, no kids. And I've pretty much focused on business a lot in my life so far. And, it's one of those things where I feel like when you find the right person, the right moment, right? We all have had different relationships through our life, but my focus for many years has been on just creating an impact, helping people. And so it really wasn't on my radar the way it might have been for most. And it was really more of like this passion for, can I inspire people? Can I create wealth and abundance in a way that my family didn't have growing up? We struggled a bit growing up. And so I decided at a very young age that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to help other people, and I never wanted to struggle and have other people struggle if I could help. If I could figure something out, can I teach others?
I love that. I want you to know I'm just moved by your story and your attitude and all that because I didn't get married till I was 41. I had things to do.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I had
I
things
do
to,
actually. Yeah.
I didn't have a child till I was 42. And so I really can relate to that. But for me, I grew up on a place called Long Island, and I went to work in New York City. I found something, but my brother, he bought a ticket like you, and he went to like 50 countries around the world for years. And it's a different mindset. You know what I'm saying?
It is a different mindset. My brother actually has 7 kids, married with 7 kids.
For real.
Slightly different life choices.
And
Yeah.
did he stay in the Chicago area, in the Illinois?
Yeah. A couple hours south of Chicago.
I knew you were
Yeah.
going to say that. And that's
Yeah.
where you grew up. So see, some people have that sort of, that mindset, or that's just what happens to them. That's their story. The reason
Well,
you're
and
on
it's
this,
interesting. It's interesting to think about that though, because they're both beautiful life paths, right?
they can
So like
be.
having
They can
having
be.
that family, having that sense of being able to create a family and pass on your legacy, right? And then it's, I guess for me, a legacy in a different way. It's a legacy through speaking, through inspiration, through consulting, through helping. And so it's interesting when you look at the different ways that you can build legacy,
100%. And you can do all the above too.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
you look healthy, very attractive, stating the obvious here. And all I'm trying to say is that there is no right or wrong.
Right.
It's his
Yeah.
story, and this is your story.
Yeah.
And I think the reason, you're on this podcast today and we're meeting is because of the fact that you chose to see the world, experience the world. And as part of your journey, you became a woman that wants to influence and inspire the world to make a
Yeah,
difference, right? And so
absolutely.
and so that's the reason you created Formula Inc. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and actually, behind the name, the idea was that most everything in life is a formula. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. People don't have to start from complete scratch and guess. You just need to find proven framework systems, methods. We always hear success leaves a trail, right? So you don't have to guess out of nowhere. You can find a proven path and follow it. And then the ink is INK, ink it in, pen on paper, take action, write it down, and then move forward.
Make it happen. I tell people,
Yeah.
can you write this down? And they say, go ahead, I'm on my notes. They put it in their computer, in their phone. I'm still writing shit down. I have pads all over my apartment. It's like
Right.
crazy. And most people just have one device. Everything's there, very organized. But I didn't grow up that way. I still have to write I love Formula Inc. and I get it. I think that's a great name.
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, really a great name, and I get it 100%. So one of the things about traveling the world and experiencing things that you did, I mean, it allows you to have insights that most sort of regular people, if you don't mind, that have normal or regular lives, they don't have because they don't have the ability to just say, well, let me say this. You saw something in Bali that inspired you, right? That turned you on. You probably had a relationship, I'm guessing. I think everything comes down to a man and woman stuff, boy and girl stuff. So I'm guessing you met a guy uh, in Bali, and
Actually,
that was
I
part of it.
didn't. No,
I'm shocked.
right? I actually went on a deep healing journey. I did a series of fasts and cleanses and really did a lot of deep inner work.
It's
It's
great.
the type of stuff that people don't really talk about at parties. And I was connected through my friend who they were hosting this retreat, right? And they said, "Hey, Maria, we're going to stay a couple extra weeks. You should stay too." I was like, "I'm in," right? And
It's
so I
great.
just got a one-way ticket when I went there. And as I was there, they were showing me around. And at first, we were in Ubud, and it's super calm, super peaceful. And I was like, "Oh yeah, this was nice," but I was thinking about heading back. And I was actually supposed to speak at a conference, a keynote and innovation conference in Virginia. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should book a flight back and head back to speak at this conference. And then we went to Canggu, and the city, it just felt alive. Like it felt like there was so much music and people just, the Balinese people they're so beautiful, like their culture and people living so simple and so happy. And it's one of those things that we don't quite get here in the US and in other cultures as much, right? There's so many distractions. And as soon as we got to Canggu, I was like, oh man, this feels right. And so I actually ended up not flying back and I was co-presenting with a colleague. It was actually a virtual, it was a summit it was like an innovation summit. And so I actually joined virtually. He was there in person and I joined in a yacht in Bali in the metaverse, live streamed into the presentation hall because we were talking about emerging technologies. So it totally fit. So I did the virtual presentation and didn't fly back. And from there, it was one of those things where my friends introduced me to a group and they were like, a lot of people, there's a lot of wellness activities, as you mentioned, retreats, things like that. And so I decided to actually do something that I hadn't done since before I was 15. And that was not work, not dive into work headfirst all day, every day.
I get that.
And yeah,
That's all I
and
do.
taking that step back.
I think that's really wonderful. And you did talk about healing and fasting and introspection. Was there anything in your life, that some sort of trauma in early life that sort of put you in a position where you felt like you just wanted more or you wanted to heal from? Was there something? Like for me, my father passed away when I was 16 and I reacted very badly. And that was like my trauma. What about you? Did you have anything, an event, a breakup, abuse, anything like that that sort of led to this journey?
Oh, yes. When I was 15, my parents actually separated and then later divorced. And there was like a court battle, and it was very tough. It was very tough to go through that. And I feel like when I started working, I felt like work was something that was kind of always there. And it would fill that void of feeling let go, disappointed. I felt, after a 5.5 year relationship ending poorly, I felt like everyone that was ever supposed to be there for me and love me had abandoned me. And I felt lost. And I threw myself into work because I didn't know what else to do. And it's interesting. I had a health coach I hired several years ago, and he was absolutely fascinated by me. And he said, Maria, a lot of people, they turn to drugs, alcohol, all kinds of things to fill the void. And you used work. I was like, yeah, it's very profitable and productive. Like, it's a good use of your time. And it's still not healthy, right? But I think I used that in order to not have to have those calm moments where I actually had to face myself, my feelings, and I put it all in a little box where I didn't have to feel it and I didn't address it. And fast forward several years and, going through some poor relationships with guys and feeling undervalued, going through some business partnerships where I didn't feel like the other person was carrying their weight. And what ended up happening is I realized that I was trying to prove my self-worth through achievement. And there's something about achievement where it's great for the moment, but it doesn't really turn into that deep fulfillment when it's a surface level reason that you're trying to fill the void, right? And a lot of us turn to so many distractions for things like that. And we don't necessarily take those moments to pause and actually think and feel and recognize what it is we're running from or not addressing because we're busy every moment of every day.
That's very profound what you just shared. It's very profound. And, I identify, I turned to drugs and alcohol. I packaged up my pain and just said, I'm not going to deal with it, and became this like machine on Wall Street, accomplishing, making money, all these different things. However, as you know, you can only keep pain down. You can only keep trauma down for a certain amount of time until it erupts, literally. And so at some point I got clean and sober. I took a similar journey that as that, you've just expressed. But tell us about this speaking and this consulting, and because to me it's like you're like a dichotomy. You're like two different people, right? I mean,
Yeah. So I started so working through college and high school, I actually had enough credits to graduate high school a little bit early. So I started working in a Fortune 100 company when I was 18. And then I worked as a college undergrad all through college.
wow.
And when I graduated, I had 5 years of corporate experience on my resume. And I did all the work a full-time person did. So I didn't write intern. I just wrote what I actually did, which was the real world experience. And so I was coming out of college with a lot of experience to be able to get hired. But I got hired in as a college graduate. And I was then working at another Fortune 100 company. And I was managing $5 million projects as a project manager, telling people twice my age when I needed milestones done. I was a little bit over my head there.
That's pretty cool, though.
I feel like my skill set, there's a combination of book smarts and street smarts. And the book smarts is that I can learn. I am sharp, right? But then the street smarts is when I got hired, they're like, hey, do you know earned value analysis and how to calculate the cost performance index and the schedule performance index? And I said, well, we didn't quite do it that way at my last company, but I'm confident that if you showed me, I would understand. And then when I'd ask on the job, I'd say, well, how do you do that here? I just want to make sure I'm doing it the right way you do it here, because I know, companies do it differently. And so I would learn from people, find mentors. And the first set of projects I had were the enterprise server release, Windows and Unix server upgrades. And
Slow
with
down.
these projects,
Say that again.
Yeah.
Say that one more time. That's incredible.
Sure. The first set of projects I had in my early 20s, right out of college, was the enterprise server release, Windows and Unix server upgrades. And it was a $3 million project budget to do the server upgrades every year. We'd do 2 releases a year. And they said, we want to streamline this process. Well, I'd just come from working at another very large company where I'd learned about Six Sigma and lean methodologies, which is a process methodology for how you can streamline process, your workflow, increase quality and reduce defects. And this was a large manufacturing company, so they really needed that. Then there's a large insurance company I was working at next, their systems technology department. And so I came off of learning about process improvements and efficiencies. We were able to streamline the process, go from 2 releases to 3 releases a year, offshore some of the work, free up our on-site people for more strategic work, reallocate them, and we took a $3 million annual budget and reduced it by $1.5 million annual residual cost savings. And I was 22 years old.
22 years old.
But when I went in for my performance review, they said, "Great job, Maria. You qualify for the 5% increase on salary." And I said, "Wait a minute. You said that if I did a good job with this client, that I could get a higher salary increase because I had turned down a job for $10,000 more the year before." And they said, "Well, yeah, but we have this new policy." I said, okay, is that how this works? So I went back to my desk. I was infuriated by the system. The system was broken. And by the time my performance review came around the next year, I had interviewed with multiple companies, had 3 job offers on the table for double my salary, because that's what my actual quality was in the industry. Like that's what my value was in the industry, what I could deliver. And so when they said, "Oh, congratulations, you qualified for the maximum 5%. I said, "Well, you know what? That's not going to work for me. Let me know if you can match this dollar amount. Let me know if you want to escort me off the client site now or want me to put in my 2 weeks notice." And I walked back to my desk. 10 minutes later, they called me in. They said, "Well, we really need you because we just hired some new people. We need you to train them." I was like, "Okay, you need to match this number." And they're like, "Okay, well, let's see what we can do." They said, "You know what? We can give you this much salary and give you 2 large bonuses a year. Will that work?" I said, "Let me think about it." Like, "We need an answer now." I said, "I'm going to take the 48 hours that you give everybody." And that's where I discovered leverage.
That's where you discovered leverage. I mean, I almost had trouble keeping up with all that. There was so much to unpack. And now I understand a little bit more how and why these companies hire you to consult. Because you have an ability to process and verbalize these complex. I mean, to me, it was very complicated. You're talking about technology, correct?
Yeah. And at the time, I did not fully understand how to do a server upgrade on Windows or Unix. Like, I was coming in a little fresh, but because I was able to leverage my subject matter experts, my team, I had about 130 team members.
Wow.
But the way I was able to manage that team is we had a development lead, testing lead, and an implementation coordinator. So I coordinated through my team leads. And that's where I discovered, how do you lead? How do you do project management? How do you deliver projects on time and within budget? And when I talk about and reference leverage, I'm talking about when you have real value to offer, there's people that will want to work with you when you have real value and real results that you can create.
I agree. And oftentimes when you're in these big companies, if you don't advocate for yourself, if you don't push back, you get nowhere.
Oh, Ross, I had an inch thick of printed papers, my first year's performance review, of accolades and thank yous and great jobs. And it meant nothing.
Zero.
Nothing.
Well, that's what we give you instead of money.
Right.
We give you paper and accolades. Guys send roses, but we're not giving you what's important.
Right.
That's the real world, but people don't understand that. They don't teach that in books. That's why people like podcasts, because they get to hear the real stuff. You know what I mean? It's really insane because the institutional way of doing things it's all now becoming revealed at how corrupt and inefficient and unauthentic everything that is in the media today that we're plied with morning, noon, and night. But so I'm trying to imagine a 22-year-old version of you that has all this seasoning and experience. Is it fair to say that you really understand technology? Is that fair to say?
I understand people and I understand how to coordinate. I don't write code. I did take a C++ class in college once.
Right.
Then I pivoted into marketing with a concentration in professional sales.
I get it.
And I know how to lead teams. I know how to connect with people. And I know how to leverage the expertise of subject matter experts. So I didn't know how to do the server upgrades, but I had a whole team who were experts on exactly how to do that. So yeah, I do understand technology. I do understand. I build websites. I do things like that. I work with AI, building out AI agents, things like that. I have a team that does that. We implement that for companies as well. So yeah, over the years, but at the time, I was new.
I mean, you're a kid. When I was 22, I was like smoking weed and going to clubs.
I did none of that when I was that age. I actually didn't even drink till I turned 21.
For real.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't want to. I saw the people around me, my friends. My friends were the skater kids.
They were
Right?
the what?
My
The what?
skater kids, like skateboarding.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
don't see
so,
you in that sort of crowd. Not the woman in front of me right now.
right. But my friends, they were in like hardcore metal bands, underground punk rock shows we'd go to.
Stop it.
I swear. Yeah.
Really? Don't,
Yeah.
next thing you just do, you're going to tell me, you're going to show me your tattoos.
No, actually zero tattoos.
Okay. Okay.
But I have designed them for friends though.
I imagine you do. I get that. I really understand. But you were like a rocker, right? One of those kids. I get it.
Well, I'm actually also a DJ now.
I mean, how come? It's not in my notes. Really? You're a DJ as well?
You see the turntables behind me?
I
This is my
see them
studio.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
So that's a funny story. I was speaking at a conference in Philly
Right.
in 2016, and my friend was hosting the conference. It was the Heart of Agile conference. I was speaking on Agile marketing, and we were sponsoring it. And my best friend and I were there. He worked with me, and we co-founded the Agile Marketing Academy. And our friend, he was putting on this first conference, and he said, "Hey guys, the conference organizers forgot to save budget for the conference party. If there's no conference networking event, people are going to think my conference was bad because there was no fun, no socialization, no dancing." Wow. And my friend used to run a creative incubator in Chicago, and he said, if you run any kind of space like that, you have to learn how to DJ because someday the DJ's not going to show up, and you have to learn. And so he turned to me and he's like, "Hey Maria, do you want to DJ?" I was like, "What? Yes, I don't know what." I guess it's so random. So the conference bought us our first set of DJ decks, and my first time DJing was actually live on stage in front of 200 people. And, he taught me the basics. It's like you got your song on the left side, the song on the right. You want to match the beats, beat matching. And then you transition from one song to the next. And I was like, okay, I think I got it. And he was next to me. And then he'd like jump off stage. I'd be like, "No, come back. Like help." And it was super nerve wracking, but I kind of liked it. So he found us a standing gig in the Warehouse District in St. Pete, Florida. And we were DJing open mic night. Then I was at a conference in Singapore that I was speaking at. There's a conference in Munich, Germany 2 weeks later. I ran into the conference organizers, and I was already in the conference circuit for now. And I was speaking a lot through the Project Management Institute and a lot of Agile conferences. So you get to see the same people at these events all over the world, right?
Yes.
So I ran into these organizers. I was like, "You guys are going to get a kick out of this. I just DJ'd this conference in Philly." And they turned to me and they're like, "Do you want to DJ in the conference in Munich?" I was like, "Don't play with my emotions." Yes. And so I showed him a DJ flyer because I made a DJ flyer. And they were like, "Okay, well, we'd love to have you do that." So I get to Munich. I had none of the DJ gear. I go out into the streets of Munich, find a store, like a music store, buy all new gear, because this is where preparation meets opportunity, right? I get there. The main organizer girl is like, "You can't DJ. We've had this conference planned a year in advance." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I had the guy that was traveling with me, it was helping me lead training classes, Paul. I was like, "Paul, I need you to go find somewhere to print this flyer because I'm going to find some place to DJ. Somebody here has a suite. I'm DJing an after party, if nothing else." And so he's like, "Where do I go to print this?" I was like, "I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Figure it out." So he goes off to try to find a place to print this flyer. I end up walking into the conference. It was the second night, and it was a conference party sponsored by IBM. There were 750 people there.
Wow.
The PR girl runs up to me. She's like, "Maria, there's no music." I was like, "So?" She's like, "You can DJ." I was like, "What? What?" And I was like, "Okay." So I go and I grab the gear. I come back in. They're like, "But we're not paying the AV team. We're not paying any extra fees. So you have to figure out how to hook it up." I had no idea how to hook it up. So I get on the mic and I'm like, "Excuse me, does anyone here know how to hook up sound systems?" And so these two guys meander over. One guy was a DJ, Paolo from Italy, and then another gentleman. And the way we did it is we rigged my DJ decks through the wireless mic and played that night.
Cool.
And so that was my first time DJing internationally. So after that, I just traveled all around the world with my DJ gear and my suitcase. And I just asked people, hey, who do you know that knows somebody so I could DJ? So I DJed at the hottest bar in Fiji, Ice Bar in Nadi. There was a conference I was speaking at Forsyth Bar Stadium in New Zealand. And like 3 days before the event, the organizer, we're all sitting at dinner. There was a bunch of speakers, like all these coaches from around the world. And I was just like, happened to bring up that I DJ'd and showed him the flyer. And he's like, wait, you DJ? Do you want to DJ at the stadium? I was like, yes. So I did the same thing I did when I wanted to become a public speaker. Everywhere I went, I just talked about wanting to speak. Hey, is there anywhere I can speak? I love speaking. And then when everyone thought about a speaker, oh, Maria won't shut up about speaking. Let's have her speak. Same thing with DJing. And so now here's the kicker. And this is a key. So Agile project management is the most effective way to launch any product to market.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Yes. Agile project management is the most effective way to launch any product to market. This is what I consult Fortune 100 companies, the biggest companies in the world, on how to do. IBM, Microsoft, Bank of America, Disney, all around the world. And you can apply these Agile techniques to your life to do more of what really matters. And I started applying Agile, we call it personal agility, also Agile marketing, into how I did anything and everything I wanted to do. So I applied Agile to wanting to DJ. So I started marketing as I developed my skills. Most companies wait until they finish developing a whole product.
Correct.
Then they market it. Agile is an iterative development approach.
Say that one more time. Say it again. It's an
It's an iterative development approach. And what that means is you focus on a minimum viable product. You do something in a short time box, like a couple weeks. You show it to potential customers, get feedback, and then you iterate and add to it. And you can get a much better quality product, and you get to market faster, and you get market validation. So I met a DJ in Long Island, actually, when I was up there years ago.
That's where I'm from. Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, oh man, you're a DJ. That's amazing. I was like, how long have you been DJing? He said 2 years. For me, I'd also been DJing 2 years at the time. And I said, oh, great. I was like, well, where have you DJed? He goes, I'm a basement DJ. I was like, oh, cool. What's that? And he's like, no, I DJ in my basement. I'm like, oh. I was like, have you ever DJed in front of anyone? And he's like, well, yeah, I did my cousin's birthday party once. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, where have you DJed? I literally DJed in New Zealand, Fiji, Paris, all around the world.
Munich.
Because I did this before I was fully ready. I developed my skills as I went, and then I also marketed in an iterative way. And I also met DJ FNA, who'd been the DJ for 3-6 Mafia for 7 years. He was here in Vegas, and we did a little world tour. So I was speaking at these conferences, and I went from Fiji to Shanghai, led an Agile marketing training class for the corporate office of McDonald's in Shanghai, flew over to Singapore, spoke at a conference, DJ'd the conference party, flew over to Thailand, spoke at a conference, the Agile Tour, Bangkok, led a couple training classes for some large banks and public courses, DJ'd at Psy Trance Club, DJ'd in Keo San Road, went to India, New Delhi, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, DJ'd on all those locations, flew back to Chicago. We DJ'd all the boats tie up on Lake Michigan. They call that the Playpen. We DJ'd in Chicago at the beginning and the end of that 30-day tour. I'm telling you, my skill set developed so much in those 30 days because of how much I learned from him as a DJ and producer. And then, of course, I hired a professional videographer to follow us around, and he's producing original songs to like the videos we're making. So what I discovered is you can apply Agile to anything.
Correct.
As a hobby, I developed my skill set in DJing and my portfolio. I've now DJ'd the pregame for the Super Bowl, the NHL playoffs.
Say that again. Say that again.
I have now DJ'd the pregame for the Super Bowl, the NHL playoffs, and the Formula One Grand Prix as a hobby.
Baby, you're killing it. I just want to say it's so nice to meet you today.
Thank you.
I mean, this is wild to me. I mean, the way you were describing this is how I've lived my life, but I never heard anybody encapsulate it in like a formula. You know, I soft sell. I leak things into the market to get reaction, but also to leave an impression. And I develop my documents based on the reaction I get. And you know, you have to be able to pivot. That's the word I use. I'm going to turn to Agile now because I get what you're saying. And I just love the way you expressed all that. Everybody waits till something's perfect. I can't do this until this, that, and this, all these things happen. Guess what? That might never happen. Get in the game. Step up to the plate. We'll figure it out, right? That's how that's how the most amazing things have been accomplished. Microsoft, Bill Gates sold Windows. He didn't even own it. Then he went back and found it and bought it.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? There'd be no Microsoft if he was waiting to, for things to be perfect. Think about how crazy.
Absolutely.
So I can't believe what I heard though, because you are consulting, advising, speaking some of the biggest companies, the most important companies in the world, right? IBM, Microsoft, McDonald's. I heard a bunch of names, right? And then you're rocking out at these conferences. I mean, on Mike Podcast, you're cool as fuck.
Thank you.
You give me a little thing on Spotify and on YouTube for adults because I use language. But you're cool as fuck, and you're accomplished as fuck. And I think that's really very, very cool. And you commanded the language, your vocabulary. I mean, you are a girl that you said you worked several jobs to put yourself through college. And you turned that into a strength, not a weakness, really, right? For your resume and your ability. And you also have a level of street. Where'd you get your street smarts from? That's what we haven't discussed. Yeah, man is right. True. Hit me, baby. Let's hear that. I want to hear.
I'd have to say it came from survival.
Okay.
From a feeling of necessity, of feeling like the world wasn't fair, of seeing the American dream and the perfect family that you're supposed to have not be the thing. I remember walking to the edge of the street corner I grew up on and just sitting on the curb and just crying and just wondering, like, is this what life is? Right. Is it this pain, this sorrow, this struggle? Is it my parents not sure if they can make rent, arguing, yelling? Like, I don't want this. Like, is it being in a relationship where you feel undervalued? Is it not being appreciated, not feeling seen? And like, when you look at that and you look at just not knowing what to do, I just threw myself forward into what I thought would be the best move. And that's, let me make sure I can care for myself and I never find myself in this situation where I have to struggle. And so the street smarts, I think, came from, finding people to learn from, finding mentors, finding the shortcut, finding that there's a path you can take because the actual path we're told to take is broken. And that's not, they don't tell you that. That's not something they broadcast. But if you have the guts to step out on your own and try, you can break out of that system, that matrix system that you're told you have to be a part of.
That mold. Yep. I get it. It's a great answer. I feel like you're telling my story. It's the craziest thing ever.
Parallel paths.
I swear to you, 16 years old, my dad drops dead. Everything was mortgage borrowed. At least we had nothing. My life plans changed that minute. He was my North Star. He was my everything. And I literally went crazy. I was so angry at God. I cursed God. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. Like, why me? All these other families on the street, there's a mom and dad and grandparents come, every once in a while and all these different things. And my mother's in bed taking pills, because she just lost her husband who was the breadwinner and everything was, mortgaged up. And what am I going to do now? I'm sitting with two boys that I really don't know too much about. So, it's like a crazy thing, life. It can be a crazy journey, but you're a survivor. First and foremost, you're a survivor. Correct?
Yes.
And then some of us survivors, we say, okay, I'm a survivor, but there's more to life than being a survivor. I want more. Is that also fair to say?
Absolutely.
And so you figured out how to chase more, how to find more. And I salute you.
Thank you. And what's interesting about that? More is not the answer.
Great. That's a great comment. Unpack that for everybody. You're right
Yeah.
about that.
I have never been so miserable than when I was making millions of dollars, driving around in my convertible Porsche, living in the fancy high-rise apartment with the infinity pool on the roof and the palm trees overlooking the ocean, feeling lonely because I had no one to share it with.
I get it. I get that. You just described me. It was just it was a convertible Mercedes. you know, I get that, and that's a whole nother thing. I'll tell you how interesting that was to me. And I got sober. I began my journey when I was 33, and I used to speak at AA meetings. I'm a speaker as well, and my drug of choice is more.
I have a friend who has that as well.
That's my drug of choice, more. Whatever feels good. You know what I'm saying? It was money, women, possessions, not everything. Four of everything. It wasn't enough to have everything. I needed more. Mm-hmm. But, it's an inside job. I think that's where you're going to go with, right? Relationships. I get more wholeness because I have certain people that I allow in as much as I can. I'm still guarded. I don't know if you feel that way, if you go through that. Part of you has been hurt, torched, right? You talked about a relationship that where you were undervalued. And that's a common thing on both sides, men and women. I know men that have been in just these relationships where these women were horrific to them and they deserved more. And obviously, I know many women that have been extremely undervalued and worse by men. It's really a common thing. I hate to say it. It doesn't have to be our experience. It doesn't have to be your experience. I certainly I won't accept that because I have self-esteem today and I have real relationships and I know who I am, etc. But it took me a long time to work that out. I will tell you. I don't know about you, but I go out in the world often and I love to communicate with people. I love to meet people. I generally like people, which is why I do this podcast. I get to meet fascinating people like Maria Matarelli, Italian girl.
That's it.
You're Italian, right?
Yep.
What about your mom? I know
Lebanese.
Lebanese. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, we're building a media company called Raw Media, and we have a lovely woman, Janelle. Shout out to Janelle Baez, who is Cuban, but her mom is Lebanese.
Wow.
And I see a little bit of a resemblance. I see that. And I get that. So how were you raised? Were you raised Christian or?
Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, Lebanese Christian. And so you experienced pain as a young girl growing up. And that girl, she got smart because she chose to be. It's a choice you make. And then you go off into the corporate world. I don't know if it's just because there was a job, right? I don't know if you planned that, right?
Oh, it was the first opportunity was for an internship.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to not just get by, but build a life that I didn't have to struggle.
So you thought this out. You thought this out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That's very good. You were a kid. You were a kid when you did that. I mean, literally. Yeah. I can tell that you're highly intelligent. Did you like to read when you were young?
I did. Yeah.
It shows because your ability to speak and enunciate certain words, etc. Now, obviously, today you're an accomplished public speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, so 22, you were already doing that. So you're probably at least 25 now, maybe 26.
At least. Yeah.
Potentially, right? And that's amazing. So you have commanded teams for some of the most prestigious corporations in the history of planet Earth. And today you have your own consulting business. Now, it also came to my attention that you've written some books and some programs. Yeah. Can you show those on the camera?
Yeah. No, you're going to love this. You're going to love this first one. All right.
All right. I'm getting nervous now. I'm getting excited.
It's Workaholic, a 12-step guide to having a life and getting things done.
I love it. What do you mean? That's crazy.
And it's a mini book because workaholics don't have a lot of time to read. So if you hand them a big book, they'll panic. They will panic.
Forget it. But I would read that. That is very cute.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
A 12-step program for workaholics. Workaholics Anonymous.
It helps you to understand what is a hobby. There's a whole chapter on what is a hobby. You might want to consider.
I don't have any hobbies. People ask me all the time. So what do you like to do? I work. No, when you're not working. I'm always working.
I monetize my hobbies.
Exactly. That's why I love the digital world. My friend said, listen, there's no Saturdays, there's no Sundays in digital world, there's no holidays, there's no weekends, Ross. And I said, it's CEO's 24. I said, I like that. That turns me on. Some people say, oh, no, I have boundaries. I'm like, I don't have boundaries. I just enjoy what I enjoy. I enjoy doing. But this is really something that you put that book together.
Thank you.
Are you a workaholic?
I was. Chapter 10 is where it really gets into what's really going on. Why are you working so much? What's happening behind the scenes? I don't work now out of the same wanting to fill a void. I work because I want to make an impact, right?
I get it.
And so there's a different motivation behind it. And then also my most recent book, I co-authored with a trainer based out of Switzerland, Peter Stevens. It's on personal agility. And this is all about unlocking purpose, alignment, and transformation. Now, this book is full of case studies on results people have gotten applying Agile to their life to do more of what really matters. The first half of the book is talking about how to apply Agile as an individual to achieve goals. The second half of the book is how to apply Agile as a leadership framework in an organization. So some of the case studies, one of them is there's a woman, I got in the backseat of her Uber in Tampa, Florida. I'd just flown back from Toronto and I was leading a training class for IBM. Then I was in Chicago and I was DJing one of the Prism nightclubs.
You're killing me with this. You're killing me with this.
It's like a Clark Kent Superman thing. Right?
It is. Exactly. I was thinking that, just so you know.
Yeah. And I got in the backseat of her Uber and it's like a 20-minute ride to downtown St. Pete. And she was like, oh, what do you do? And I was talking and she's like, you are fascinating. She's like, will you connect with me, follow me on Instagram because I'm driving and I probably shouldn't be following you right now. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I pull out their Instagram. I'm looking at it. And the marketer in me couldn't help it. I was like, may I give you some feedback? And she's like, yeah. It's like, well, the pictures of food here look amazing, but I don't know what they are. I'd love to know a description of what the food is. And your personality is amazing, but none of that's coming through. And she told me, my dream is to have my own cooking show on TV. I said, well, why don't you create a YouTube cooking show, create a portfolio and submit it to the networks? She's like, honey, I'm old. I don't know how to use YouTube. And so I'm sitting there in the back of this Uber and I'm like, don't offer to help, don't offer to help, don't offer to help. I was like, what are you doing Friday? And so I invited her to come over to my place and I said, you know what? I'll shoot your TV cooking show. I just want to eat the food for free. So I got a free private chef. So she came over, I'm shooting her cooking show. Fast forward, when I met her, she was over 300 pounds. I showed her how to apply personal agility to do what really matters. She'd lost over 55 pounds. She was feeling healthier than ever before. When we started applying this to the business, she launched a catering company. She went from working 5 jobs and barely getting by, over $735 of insufficient funds fees, negative in her bank account, almost losing her house, going negative on rent, car getting repossessed, to clearing over 20 grand a month, over 6 figures in a year, landing a 6-figure client, and we brought in over $500,000 total. And that is by applying a proven system, an Agile system that is a proven framework to focus, prioritize, and visualize what really matters and use this proven system to execute.
And it's a system that you've developed over time, correct?
So Agile's been around in the industry since 2001. There's actually a group of 17 software developers that came together and they actually wrote a manifesto. It's called the Agile Manifesto. And they said there's better ways of developing software by doing it, and they've uncovered these ways, and they want to help others do it. And they had 4 main values. And so they take these values and 12 principles, and that's kind of what started this whole movement in the industry. So no one really owns Agile. It's like a methodology. It's these values and principles. And then you have different frameworks, like you have the Scrum framework, which is a rugby term. That's the most commonly used Agile approach. You have like Kanban or like lean methodologies, Six Sigma. So there's all these different like process frameworks that companies use, and there's different flavors of it. So the unique thing that I've added to the industry is really just applying it outside of IT. So Agile can be applied outside of software. So I co-founded the Agile Marketing Academy and the Personal Agility Institute. And we just started creating case studies and helping people apply Agile to anything that they wanted. And that's what's in the book, is all these case studies.
I love that. Wow. So you sort of are a workaholic. Sort of, kind of.
There's roots there, but I don't identify as a current workaholic. I hustle if I need to, if the situation is necessary. However, I don't work out of this intrinsic like desire to fill a void, like to try to like mask something. I will show up and I will deliver value, and that's who I am. But it's not like out of that pain of where it's coming from. I think that's what kind of makes it the aholic of it, right?
I get it.
The motivation behind it.
You use it to really fill a black hole. It's like a patch on a bullet wound.
Yeah.
It starts oozing and it coming out, and then you put a clean patch on, but it's just everything's temporary instead of getting to the sort of the issue. So this is really a treat for me to meet you today.
Thank you.
I feel like I have a new friend in Las Vegas.
Yes, you do. And we host events every month, private events.
Stop it now. Tell us. Talk about this.
Yeah. So this is the Kaya Club.
I'm coming.
You should be here.
Trust me.
Yeah. So the second Thursday of every month, we do a women's
Second
night.
Thursday of every month.
That's the women's night. And then the fourth Thursday of every month, we do an event open to all, guys and girls. And
Fourth Thursday of every month. Where are these held? Where are these events held?
So we are in Las Vegas, right off the Strip. It's a private event venue space. And it's like just south
what's
of
it called?
Mandalay Bay.
What's the event?
So it's a private luxury private estate. And we do private events, and we call it the Kaya Club. So Kaya, Kya, stands for Keep Your Advantage. And so that's a mastermind group that I've put together. And also, it took me about 7 years to come up with a DJ name. And one day, I was brainstorming. I was working on producing an album and thinking up lyrics and things. And the word Kaya came to me, and I looked up the meaning. And the African meaning is sky diamond, or diamond in the sky.
I love
and
that.
So I started using that as my DJ name. And then I was like, you know what? We need a Kaya Club. And a friend of mine who's really good with branding and marketing, he said, you know what? Kaya can also stand for Keep Your Advantage, right? So keep your advantage in business and life. And so that's what it is.
I love it. I mean, you're creative, you're intelligent, you're successful. I mean, you're well put together. And, I'm trying to put together the woman here in front of me that I'm listening to, and then the girl that was in Bali and stayed 2 years. I mean, that to me is like, you're a dichotomy. You have a lot of depth, apparently. And, you've tasted life so far. What have we not covered that we want to cover today? I mean, I could probably talk to you for 2 days straight.
Yeah, same.
You're fascinating, but tell me, is there anything we haven't touched on at this point? I mean, I can't wait to come to the Kaya Club, the fourth Thursday.
Yeah. Well, this month, the first of the year was actually on January 1st. So we actually pushed it to the fifth Thursday for this month in January. After that, it'll be the fourth Thursday. But January 29th is our next event, and you are invited.
I don't know if I can make it to that one, but I will be in touch with. I'm getting your contact info, and I will let you know when I am coming to Las Vegas.
It is a James Bond theme. We do themes every single event.
I love that.
So that's this one, 007. But we'll have another great theme for February.
Do you actually DJ at these things sometimes?
I absolutely do. I'm the resident DJ here. It's the Kaya Club.
I just can't I can't put it all together. You're a fascinating human being. You're just fascinating. I'm having you normally, I've been around a little bit. I don't know if you know my story, but I've been around. Big earner my whole life, the whole thing. Wall Street, New York, fast, wherever the action was, I went, etc. And I have a great understanding of people. I love people. It doesn't matter. All different types. Doesn't matter. I'm not judgmental. I've been blessed with certain things. And, but you're like, you're like an enigma wrapped in a mystery, as part of a puzzle. I'm not just playing with words. You're a different kind of cat.
Thank
You're a
you.
different
Yet
kind of,
also an open book. Happy to answer any and all questions.
I
And
get
you know
it.
what? You asked me, Ross, you said, is there anything that you haven't asked or that I haven't shared that I'd like to share? And
Yes.
what I would like to share is I really feel drawn to work with leaders now more than ever before in a very specific way. And, as leaders, we're supposed to have the answers. We're supposed to keep it together. And there comes a point in life where a lot of us run into that moment where you've achieved everything you're supposed to have achieved that you thought was going to bring you happiness, and something feels off and something feels empty, and you can't quite put your finger on what it is. And you turn to all these different things to fill that void, and it's never enough. And I found myself in a very interesting situation within the last few years. And I found myself in a situation where I felt betrayal by multiple business partners at the same time.
Wow.
And what happened was, from investing in companies and partnering with companies, and Formula Inc. has always been my company. I own it 100%. But I started partnering with other companies, investing in people whose visions and dreams I believed in. And sometimes, people, they don't rise to the occasion, or they may not have integrity, or maybe they just don't have in them what it takes. And I found myself coming back from $1 million deficit of people taking money from me, of people not paying back loans, of people not sharing the profit and squandering it. And that's a little hard to swing for some people. I don't know a lot of people who could take $1 million hit and still stand back up. And there was a moment when I was in Bali, and it was on day 7 of an 11-day water fast, where I had closed a client for $177,000. And they're a $60 billion revenue company. And let's just say they're not very quick to pay. And it was supposed to be less than 60-day net payment terms. It took them over 90, close to over 100 days. And the money was there. The work was being done. There was also other work I'd done, had other companies that owed me money. I added it up. It was almost $1 million that people owed me for work I'd already done, or investments that I'd put the money in with signed agreements on when it was coming back. And everything fell apart at the same time. And there was a moment on day 7 of my 11-day water fast where I saw my bank account blink, go negative by $3,000. And I was like, how is that possible? How is that possible? There are hundreds of thousands of dollars that should be cash flowing right now.
Correct.
And I reached out to a handful of people, several of them, which I had given over 6 figures, which was absolutely supposed to come back. And I had multiple people say, give me your Zelle QuickPay information. And they never sent anything. And I laid there with no strength. I could barely stand up. I was in the middle of this deep healing journey. And I felt let down by the people who I've had their back. And I spent many days in Bali looking up at the sky saying, why, right?
What the fuck,
And
right?
what I've come to the conclusion on, the learning from that experience, is that if you can withstand the rockiness of this world, the volatility of interacting with people, when you can learn from that, when you can take the bullets and still get back up, that builds in you a certain level of resilience that others, quite frankly, don't understand. And when you can have that strength to still rebuild from that, there's something there. And there have been several people, there have been several women, very, very powerful women business owners that I've met with recently. They sat right here in my studio and they had tears streaming down their face, and they're like, I am feeling overwhelmed. I've been betrayed in business. I had a partner screw me over. I had this happen. I had that happen. This person promised me something and they didn't do it. And I sat there with solemn strength and I held space. And I was able to look them in the eye and say, I understand what you're feeling.
Right.
I have been there. I get it. And it's gonna get better. Like, you can get through this. And I realized that these experiences have actually become one of the best assets for me, because now I've been there. I have army crawled through. I picture Bruce Willis in Die Hard army crawling through the air vent, like over broken glass, right?
Yep.
I've felt that way. And now I feel like I can relate to so much. I can see things that I didn't pick up before, and dynamics of people, their integrity, like actions, all these things. And so what I truly feel genuinely passionate about is I want to work with leaders. I want to work with people who have had success but don't feel fulfilled, because I've found how you get there. And how you get there, like you said, it is an inside job, but there's proven methods and systems and ways that you can just quiet all the noise, and you can find that fulfillment. So I love working with companies to increase their efficiencies, love helping companies get results. I've proven frameworks and systems on how to do that. But what I really want to do next is help the leader who has it all and still feels empty, because there is a way to find that fulfillment, and I can show you how.
I was that guy, and I wish I would have known you, because mentorship is what saved my life and which what gave me a life. I come from a time when there were no cell phones, no computers, no Google. You actually had to call people on the phone. You had to go see them and talk to them in person. There was no texting, no such thing, right? And I would ask people, can I just listen to you on the phone? I was a cold calling stockbroker. And some guys would say, sorry. I'm sorry, bro, and close the door on me. And I'm a young broker making $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month. And I'm like a piker in that business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I'm knocking on doors. Can I sit and just listen to you? And one guy said, yeah. This guy happens to be a very famous guy in the industry. This guy's never made less than $100,000 a month, ever. Cold over the phone. Now, of course, the business has evolved, but I'm talking about in the 80s. And I just listened to him. I just listened to his approach, how he spoke to people, his demeanor. Completely different style than mine, but it's a mindset. And then, every step of the way in my life, whether when it came to banking, lawyering, building companies, selling companies, trading, there was always somebody that was, more experienced than me, more successful than me, smarter than me. That, because I asked, you know what I mean? And then later in life, I actually paid and hired people. Today, you could go online and you could go on Instagram. I DM people all the time. And that's how I'm producing a movie with a movie star who I found online after 45 days of DMing him every day. And, somebody can now reach out to you directly and access somebody that knows what they're doing, knows how companies run, knows what it's like to feel less than, even though you should be on top of the world, according to certain facts, figures, and standards, correct? So I love that. And you're open for business. You're available. We have the Kaya Club in Vegas, resident DJ. It's Women's Day, the second Thursday, right, of the month. Fourth Thursday is for men and women. That sounds great to me. And so she's written books. It's like a curriculum, right? This formula is like a curriculum, correct?
Yeah. I teach it all the time. I lead virtual training classes all the time, every week.
So how does everybody find you?
Yeah,
Let's
so
tell
you
everybody.
can go, sure. Yeah, you go to findmaria.com and you'll get a link to all my info.
Findmaria.com. You actually have that URL?
I do, because it was many radio interviews of trying to spell mariamatarelli.com, and it was just too much.
Matarelli's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough for the average bear.
My dad used to say it doesn't matter really if you can't remember Matarelli.
Findmaria.com. That's a great URL.
Thank you.
I'm shocked you got it, to be honest. That's a great one. And
Thank you.
You're on social media, correct? You're on all the platforms?
Yep. It's all linked right there, Maria Matarelli, on all the socials.
So Matarelli is Matarelli.
That's correct. And all the links are on findmaria.com.
findmaria.com. And I always like to end the podcast with a question. So you are obviously a high-powered woman. You're a serious woman by any standard, but you're fun too. The DJ. I just, it was a minute till I found that DJs can make $1 million a week. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's no joke. My nephew, when I was, he came to me, stayed in my house years ago, and he wanted to be a DJ, and I said, DJing is a hobby. He goes, Uncle Ross, let me show you something. And I'm looking at these DJs who are making like Wall Street money. I was like, what? And but I convinced him to go to law school, and he did, and now he's a big time lawyer and all these different things. But you are this diverse woman. Where will we? What can we expect from Maria Matarelli? Let's say in 5 years. Where are you going to be? What's happening? How do you see yourself?
5 years?
5 years out, not too long, but it's it's within striking distance. Really, oddly enough.
I mean, I picture myself back in Bali. I would love to live there again.
Really?
Actually, the reason I came back to the States, I was in a motorbike accident, got hit from behind going about 40 miles per hour, tore both ACLs and my meniscus, and I couldn't walk for about 6 to 8 months.
Oh,
and
my
so this
gosh.
is last year. Yeah.
In Bali.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So that's the only one of the only reasons I came back was because I couldn't walk and needed to have some procedures on my knees.
Those surgeries, that's rough stuff.
Fortunately, I was able to get injections. There's amazing technology advancement with stem cells.
Stem cells, yeah.
They're only partially torn ACLs. I was able to recover, thank goodness.
Thank God.
But yeah, then I landed in Vegas. I was like, oh, this feels like home now. So, I mean, I do plan to be here for a little while. I used to travel a lot. I mean,
2031.
Right.
I want to hang out with Maria Matarelli. Where am I going to find you?
You're going to find me in a beautiful villa in Bali. Would be my prediction. That's
okay. That's pretty edgy. That's edgy to me.
It's
I'm
paradise,
shocked
Ross.
that you say
paradise.
I guess so. I'm shocked.
I
haven't been to Bali. I've been to Fiji.
It's both beautiful. I already created a PMA company, which allows you to own land and assets as a foreigner in Indonesia. And so you get a kitas, and then you can work and live there. So I already have all that put together. Plan to go back.
Good. Now I can ask somebody how to do that. I have an advisor now.
Absolutely.
And you're available for mentorship, correct?
Yes. And I actually have a free discovery call available for people that are interested in either advancing your business with Agile and or AI, being able to just get on a call and see how we could help you. It's ai.formulainc.com, and that's Inc with a K. It's also the second link on findmaria.com.
That's so great. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I mean this from my heart. You're really spectacular. And I feel really, really privileged to have to meet you today in this sort of odd last-minute kind of way and to get to know you. And I feel like I've made a new friend.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got a friend in me. I appreciate you very much, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you so much.